The official games begin in March with 13 regional events nationwide. Now, according to the rules, teams can enter as many of these regional competitions as they want. There's no limit. And it doesn't really matter how well they do in them either, because in the end, any and all teams will be allowed to go to Orlando and compete for the national championship. Now, interestingly, all three of our teams plan to attend the Lone Star Regional Competition in Houston, which means they'll all be coming together under one roof and squaring off. Unfortunately, however, it'll be the only time that happens. The Warriors and Terminators don't have enough money or support to attend any other regional, and frankly, neither thinks it's quite yet prepared for the big time, so they won't be going to the Nationals in Orlando. The veteran Leopards, on the other hand, are planning to go all out, entering 2 regional competitions, and 6 weeks later, the Nationals. First stop for the Leopards is the Southeast Regional Competition at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. They show up at the Visitor Center early on a Thursday morning. Giant tents have been erected on the grounds for the event, but they are dwarfed by a dozen massive space rockets on display nearby. One of the tents will serve as a pit area, with each team having a place to prepare its robot for competition. At 9 a.m., the place now bustling with activity, the Leopards find their crated robot waiting for them. Opening it up, the team is anxious to see how well their bot survived the journey from Houston. Some teams have already unpacked their robots and are making themselves right at home.
Hand me that fan blade.
Other teams are wasting no time walking around the pit area, scouting out the competition and politicking. Striking up friendships is key, because finalists in every competition have the freedom in the end to choose a certain number of alliance mates for the championship round. Inside the pit area, the Leopards' head coach, Chris, walks around, scoping out the robots.
You've got a double air piston to raise it and lower it. Ours is number 57. We're basically the same layout, but we've gone to a tank tread, which the belt gives us the cushion we need to be able to do the same thing.
As the morning wears on, judges start inspecting robots to make sure they've been made according to the rules.
So you just have a little piece of tape. Tape up both sides of that. Okay.
To be eligible, a robot cannot weigh more than 135 pounds and must be able to fit into a 5-foot-tall box. Every robot has a name. The Rockobots, short for Rockin' Robots, is sponsored by the NASA Kennedy Space Center. The Rockobots, both the team and the robot, are well-heeled and tough competitors. By contrast, these are the Bulldogs from one of the poorest neighborhoods in the Bronx. The Bulldogs from Morris High have traveled the farthest and battled some of the toughest odds just to be here with their sturdy wood and metal robot. Top honors for being the scrappiest team here, though, probably goes to Polaris from Tallahassee. These 6 boys built an all-wood robot entirely on their own, in a garage, with very little support of any kind. All day today, each team will go through 4 practice rounds in preparation for tomorrow's competition.
Come on back around this side. Can you not see, or is it not?
Oh, it's not moving.
Their robot has a couple of mechanical problems, so the Leopards don't do very well in the first round.
I think the general prognosis is we're overheating our motors. They just can't handle it after 3 or 4 minutes. In a 10-minute run, they just can't take it. Forward.
Second round goes better for them, but even so, they decide to do some tweaking.
This up one, then put this one back on, and it's probably going to be a little different place. It's going to have to probably be up one as well.
Guys, mind if we balance while you're trying to get it?
No, go ahead.
The teamwork required in this year's competition is having some unexpected rewards. The robots are not getting nearly as mangled as they have in past head-to-head competitions, which means teams aren't having to spend so much of their time making repairs. That's freeing everyone up to do other things, like socialize and trade souvenirs. One of their favorite pastimes is collecting team buttons and other paraphernalia. Friday morning, at opening ceremonies, the teams are welcomed to the competition.
1, 2, 3, go!
Part of the Diabolical Dynamics challenge is not knowing until just before a match who you'll be teamed up with. That means each 4-team alliance will have only a few minutes to figure out who will play what position and to agree on a cooperative game-winning strategy.
You all go over together in tandem, okay? I'm going to go underneath, around it. He's going to lift the reinforcements. I'm going to do my best to come back on the other side.
Here we go, it's match.
After the countdown, Philip and Miles do a pretty good job of getting the Leopard's robot into the end zone.
Over the bridge with 186, the Explorer. They help balance the bridge and then they back away. Nicely done. That's teamwork. Just under 1 minute remaining. Go to the end zone! Go to the end zone! Now trying to work it on for the other goal, the far end field. 25 seconds.
End zone! Why do we hit the buzzer? Why do we hit the button?
The main problem was that we did our part and the other teams couldn't accomplish what they did, and we also couldn't get into, the other team didn't get into the end zone within the 30-second mark.
Hey, go! Here we go, match number 6.
As the morning wears on, the Leopards' luck in 2 other matches doesn't improve.
What you find again and again is you've got teams overselling their abilities. We've relied on teams to do what they said they thought they could do. And you could see this last game, they just couldn't get over the ramp.
After lunch, the Leopards prepare for match number 4. This time, they find themselves in a 4-bot alliance that includes Heatwave.
Away from the drive now, moving down to the far end, working a 10-point yellow ball. The Viking Electros, they've balanced it. Slowly placing that up on top.
Great teamwork leads to great results.
Seconds, 15.
The Leopards earn their highest score yet.
With 14 seconds
Despite
remaining.
that, the Leopards are still only in 20th place, with only 2 matches left today and 2 tomorrow. The Bulldogs from the Bronx are in 8th place, and at the top, duking it out for first place, are Heatwave and the home team Rockobots.
Got up on the ramp with a full goal, so we got a time multiplier, 2 balance multipliers. It's diving. It's so good.
The Leopards go into their final matches of the day with high hopes, but they don't do well. They've moved up to 18th place, but that's not nearly good enough. Only the top 8 teams move into the finals, which means it's schmoozing time. If the Leopards don't make the cut tomorrow, their only hope of winning is if they can convince one of the finalists into inviting the Leopards to join its alliance.
Go! And match number 6.
Then next day, Saturday, the Leopards' worst fear comes true.
We can move off of that bridge. Leopards head for the end zone.
Their matches don't go well, and they miss the cut. So, for the moment, they join the crowd to watch the rest of the preliminary matches. Polaris is in top form, thanks in part to human generosity. Last night, another team offered Polaris free sheet metal and other materials to help spruce up its garage-built robot. The Leopards, on the other hand, hoping their politicking will pay off, nervously wait to see if any of the finalists will pick them for alliance mates.
All right, the number 3 seed alliance, who's your next partner?
Team 312, Team 343, Team 538 will like to pick Team 57.
Team 57, the Leopards, are in. And quickly they join the others in Alliance 3 to cook up some strategy.
We got to figure a way to get out these 300 points because we're not here to impress ourselves. We're out here to impress everybody else that's out here. How about you, Buds?
We have a 410-point strategy that works. A 410-point strategy that could balloon if we can also get the big balls on the top.
Okay.
Meanwhile, back in the pit area, many of the losing teams begin packing up their stuff. For the 11th place Bulldogs, it'll be a long but satisfying trip back home to the Bronx.
Yeah, we're gonna go get something to eat, then we're gonna watch the rest of the matches, and we still have Columbia. We have those 15th of March.
2, 3, go!
After a short break, the semifinals begin.
Players quickly loading up the goal in front of the driver's station. 3:43, pulling away. Here comes Metal in motion. They stop the clock with 44 seconds.
The Leopards Alliance 3 racks up an amazing 416 points in the first match. And another huge score in the second match propels them into the finals. But their excitement is tempered by the fact that they'll be going up against Alliance 1, favorites to win the championship. According to the rules, whichever alliance gets the highest score after at least 3 matches wins the championship.
1, 2, 3, go!
The favored Alliance 1 goes first and score a pretty decent 168 points, but the Leopards aren't phased.
The bridge with 55 seconds remaining.
As they take the field, the underdog Leopards and Alliance 3 are confident they can score big. And amazingly, they do.
Second match. Heat wave up and over the bridge. Dragon Slayers barking down.
Back up.
Trying to push the goal up. 1 minute played, 1 minute remaining. Metal in motion, drops away. Heat wave does as well. He's in the end zone. They stop the clock with 54 seconds.
But wait, the refs have made a mistake.
I believe that we should have had a higher score. I don't know what happened there.
It should have been another 50%. Yeah.
After redoing the arithmetic, sure enough, the referees correct themselves, and Alliance 3 is awarded an unbelievable 495 points. Before the next and possibly final match, the two alliances wish each other well.
Go!
It's crunch time. Favored Alliance 1 must beat that 495 score, or they'll lose the championship. Alliance 1 is doing great, but in the last few seconds of their round, they just can't get the goals to balance on the bridge, and it costs them dearly.
And they stop the match and roll back down off the bridge.
The tournament is over. Alliance 3 has pulled off an incredible upset victory. At an award ceremony later that afternoon, Alliance 3 is declared the champs of the 2001 Southeast Regional Competition. The Leopards of Houston accept their medals with pride and joy. After several years of competing, this is the first time they've ever won.
Hey guys, how about 3 cheers for the Leopards? Hip hip! Hooray! Hip hip! Hooray! Hip hip! Hooray!
Afterwards, the Leopards pack up to go home. They love to stay here and savor the victory. But in just 2 short weeks, there's another regional to be won, closer to home. This year, the Lone Star Regional Competition is being held in a huge indoor sports arena in Houston. The Warriors arrive from the Choctaw Reservation in Philadelphia, Mississippi. They unpack their robot and check it over carefully to make sure it arrived in one piece. The Warriors stroll around the arena to have a look at the other teams, many of which are still unpacking. They're impressed by the sheer variety of the robots here and by how sophisticated some of them are. For example, this robot is practically impossible to tip over because it uses an electronic gyroscope to keep its balance. And this robot, the Condor, has not 1 but 2 long arms for picking up balls. Back at their pit, the Warriors tidy up their own robot, making sure it will pass inspection. Like the Warriors, the Terminators have also arrived on the scene early. And good thing, because when they uncrate their robot, they discover it has a broken motor. Fortunately, the motor is easily replaced, and in no time flat, the Terminators are off to have their robot weighed. Elsewhere in the arena, still high from their victory in Florida, the Leopards unpack their crate and hang up their Southeast Regional Championship banner for everyone to see. Most of the teams here are rookies, and some are not too shy or proud about coming up and asking the champion Leopards for some advice. With practice rounds about to begin, the Warriors take their robot and head over to the staging area to wait and take in all the action. When their turn comes, they power up and begin to play. As a practice session, it goes okay, but the Warriors realize they still need to hone their driving skills.
Put your glasses on. Go.
A little later, it's the Terminators' turn for their first practice session, and things don't go well for them either.
You can't go down? Run it over to the side and go check it out, Thomas. You already passed 2 minutes. The contest will be over.
On the other hand, the champion Leopards have a couple of good practice sessions.
That's extra right there is perfect.
What extra?
Oh!
What did we do? What did we do?
During afternoon practice sessions, the Warriors blow hot and cold. At first, the robot controls freeze up on them, but then they unfreeze, and things go pretty well from then on. One by one, all 32 teams in the competition get their chance to practice in the arena, so that by the end of the day, the rookies are a lot more familiar with the game. Friday morning comes, and the pit area echoes with the din of 1,000 kids and grown-ups getting ready to do battle.
Go! And here we go. This is match number 4.
The Terminators are up right away. They have some trouble with their wheel, but luckily the other bots in their alliance pick up the slack, and they come out okay. Brimming with confidence, the Leopards are up next. But surprisingly, the round goes badly.
Team 57, the Leopards from Houston, the goal topples over on top of their machine. They keep driving it.
The Warriors also have a terrible first round, but it's not their fault. Their mechanical Choctaw Warrior makes a beeline for the end zone just like it's supposed to, but the other bots just can't keep up.
Yeah, they were just with a weak group. I mean, the other group didn't do their part, so...
As they prepare for their second rounds, both Texas teams, the Leopards and the Terminators, discover they'll be playing it together.
And the Leopards, 57, reset the bridge with that long extension arm. And with their tread design, they haul up on top of the bridge. And their balance.
In the end, their excellent teamwork results in a very good score. Next several rounds come and go without much consequence. At one point, the Warriors are allied with the Leopards, but with so-so results. Later, the Warriors and Terminators are teamed up, and they too have a lackluster game. By day's end, the Warriors are in 20th place. The Terminators are in 12th place. And amazingly, the Leopards, despite their rocky start, are in 3rd place. Later that evening, the Warriors get a surprise, actually a shock, when they're given a Team Spirit Award.
NASA Johnson Space Center and Choctaw Central High School, the Choctaw Warriors from Philadelphia, Mississippi. 3, 2, 1, go! And match number 48 gets underway with Team...
The following morning, the competition continues.
Here we go with match number 56.
Later that day, there's good news and bad. The Terminators and Warriors are both eliminated. But once again, the Leopards make it into the finals.
We're number 1.
And we'd like to get our time multiplier. So really,
as the top-seeded team, the Leopards now get to choose who they want to invite into their final alliance.
Let's talk through these again one more time. I got 21 first. Second round, I'm looking for a big ball machine.
Alliance 1 now prepares what they hope will be the winning strategy. Unlike when they were in the Southeast Regional, though, in this case, the Leopards find themselves the tournament favorites. Their opponent is the underdog, which includes teams from Alabama, Texas, Mississippi, and Indiana. Sadly, though, Alliance 1 has a lousy first match, whereas their opponents have a terrific one.
1 minute remaining. Leopards on the prowl. 10 seconds.
Go!
7 seconds. Leopards trying to inch up. 3, 2, 1. Don't breathe.
Go. Then, in the last match, the Leopards end up with a very low score.
The Leopards creeping up the bridge. Team combat underneath, ready to help out. The Leopards. One ball bounces just long. And the wings fall apart. 8 seconds remaining. Team combat releases the bridge. The bridge tilts down. 3, 2, 1.
It's a tough break, and one that ends up costing them the championship.
Our robot is designed and built to be a support robot. We're not a balancer. And unfortunately, we just didn't get paired up. So small regional, not very many teams. We'll do a lot better at national.
For many teams here, it's merely the end of a regional tournament. But for the Warriors and Terminators, it's the end of the line. They don't have the money or support to go any further this year. The Leopards, however, are a different story. They'll have one last chance to redeem their terrible loss here by competing in the grand finale, the 10th annual National Robotics Competition at Disney World in Florida. The national competition is a massive event, and for the third straight year, it's being held at Epcot Center. With more than 350 teams in attendance, it'll take 5 separate arenas to handle the load. On Thursday morning, the Leopards make their way through one of the biggest tents they've ever seen. When they finally find their assigned pit area, they start out, as usual, by unpacking their robot and hanging up their regional championship banner. Most of the teams find their crates in good condition.
We're breaking into our own box.
But some are not so lucky.
Extend.
Practice sessions are uneventful. Nothing breaks, and the Leopards have very little work to do in the pits.
That was even better than the time before.
Friday morning, Regina helps put on the trademark Leopards makeup. Well, the kids talk about why they got involved in the first place.
I kind of went into it for the engineering part and kind of thought the robots looked cool. But with helping out with PBS, I've seen now that I want to go more into communications than engineering. And that was kind of something I didn't expect at the very beginning.
I'm really into like the math and science thing, and so this is a way for me to do something like that. And I did electronics, and so that was fun. I like that.
I created the newsletter 2 years ago when I first joined the team, and I've been in charge of creating the webpage as well. And now that I'm a senior, I don't actively do those two things, but I act as a mentor to new students so that they can go on and take my job when I leave.
The Leopards are raring to make up for their heartbreaking loss at the Lone Star Regionals 2 weeks ago. During the first round of competition, they're all business. It's a great start. But in the next round, everything suddenly falls apart.
We got too many teams. Somebody's not in this round. Push it up. Push it over. We want to put it right in. You got to get in front of the bridge. We got it.
Just like that, the Leopards lose a lot of ground.
We didn't really know what was happening, so when the round started, we didn't know what was going to go. We were just going moment by moment.
They all adjourn to the plaza at lunchtime for some much-needed R&R. Afterwards, the respite seems to have done the trick. The Leopards do well enough in the afternoon rounds to bring them into 10th place.
This is our best year ever. We've never been in the top 5%, ever.
The next morning, Saturday, the Leopards are upbeat about today's competition because they still have 2 more rounds, 2 more chances to work their way into the top 8 teams. the team decides to throw caution to the wind and to go all out, to push their robot to the limit. It's a gutsy call, but in the end, it backfires.
We got one more chance. I want to see what our score is. We may just go in with our 250 strategy and get it knocked out fast.
Now, all their hopes and dreams of bringing home the national championship rests on one last game.
This morning's match, we didn't play it safe. We tried to go for everything. And we tried to move up to stay in the top 4, and we didn't get anything and we fell out. And if we had played it safe like we did this time, we'd have stayed in the top 8. We wouldn't have been in the top 4, but we'd have been in the top 8. So.
Their only chance now is to get picked for an alliance. So without missing a beat, the Leopards head out for some last-ditch politicking. But as popular as they are, it's no dice. The Leopards are passed over.
Well, that's the way it goes. Some of the guys are already planning for next year's. Okay.
Digging deep, they set aside their disappointment and sit in the grandstands, cheering on the semifinalists. In the end, the national championship trophy goes to a team from San Jose, California, with the unlikely name of Cheesy Poofs. The 2001 first robotics season is over. But as the Leopards pack up their stuff and prepare to go home, they and every other team here are already excited about coming back next year and going all the way. Because of their regional championship, the Leopards have become celebrities at Booker T. Washington High School, rivaling the school's popular basketball team for bragging rights. They're even in the newspapers. The other Texas team, the Terminators, say, don't count them out. They didn't win a championship, but they did accomplish what they set out to do, learn the ropes. Next year, they vow, their robot and their team will be even bigger and better. As for the Warriors, well, because of their respectable showing in their first ever robot competition, Choctaw High School added a robotics course to its curriculum and finally is getting its own machine shop. Maybe next year, more Native American teams will be represented on the field of competition. And finally, for Dean Kamen and the thousands of parents, mentors, and coaches who volunteered their spare time to pull off this incredible spectacle, this season was special. For first, it was their 10th anniversary and their most successful year ever. And I'm not just talking about the huge numbers of teenagers or amounts of financial support it attracted. First was founded to show kids that being a participant in life is a whole lot more fun than being a spectator, and that building a better robot can be a first step in building a better future for yourself, your school, your country, and the world. For Wit, Grit, and Robot Games, I'm Michael Gillen. Thanks for watching.
Partial funding for this program was provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting through a grant from Native American Public Telecommunications, empowering, educating, and entertaining through Native media.
Funding for Wit, Grit, and Robot Games is provided by the Education Foundation of Harris County, creating opportunities for all our children.
This is PBS.